It is a wonderful experience, and we seem to have by far the most unique one on the planet. We seem very different than everything else. Very different than everything else. Even though we're a part of it, yeah, purposely. That's why I always wonder.
Super efficient.
What are we here for? What is the purpose? Is it just to enjoy and be grateful, which is great?
From the devil's side to the Lordside, Pastor Anthony's journey, all that podcast life.
Welcome to the Lordside. I'm your host, Anthony Albizu, and today we got a really good topic. It's from a Joe Rogan clip, one of his recent podcasts with Katt Williams. And man, Katt Williams, what is it about the guy who gets so many ratings, so many views? He's just an interesting character. Sometimes I'm like, man, is he really that smart? Is he trying to come across that smart? I mean, he I don't know, but people like to watch him and they like to hear what he has to say. He's an interesting character, and him being on Joe Rogan, I don't know why it hasn't happened before. But one thing you notice if you watch the podcast, that there is a lot of allusions to God, the creator of the universe, the God of the Bible, and it prompts Joe to ask I would say one of the most important questions that faces all of humanity today. If God created us, what's the whole purpose of this? What is the whole purpose behind God creating us? But before we get to the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell so you get alerted every time we upload a video, okay? So without further ado, let's take a look at this video. We are at the 2 hour and 19 minute mark.
These are real things, and that requires creation as well. The whole consequence thing, and the fact that this animal is able to live with this thing that's going to be doing damage to you.
So let me ask you this, because this is the end conclusion of that. If
Here it comes.
Creation is real, and if God is real, and if God created us...
Wait a minute, hold on. Let's be specific. Creation of what? I just told you about my ducks and her eggs. That creation is real for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm not...
And life is going to come from that.
Right.
Right.
What I mean is that God created everything, and that there really is a reason for all of it. What is the reason for us? Like, if God really did make all these things synchronized together and put us here.
Right. First of all, I'm grateful, even if you're not.
I'm very grateful.
I'm
very grateful.
What an experience.
Amazing time.
Right? And if you take time and space out of things, right, like... the people that sold me Call of Duty, right, gave me a great experience that I've been enjoying for years and years and years. And the person that I am on that platform is the person I would like to be all... An experience has been delivered. It would be like saying, what was the thinking on somebody making an amusement park? To amuse people so that they could have a full experience. And be able to enjoy it. You know that because things happen, like the humor thing that I was telling you about, and health, how important good health is over the opposite of that, and how everything works without you needing to micromanage it. Your heart doesn't require you to count its beats, and what's the percentage of brains that are working perfectly versus the ones that are not? Like, all of the processes needed to run you are just too well done to be thrown away like not important. Because if you learn about it, you'll learn about the whole workings of the universe. And it's like that in too many different places for us to ignore. And the fact that we get a chance to have that experience while at the same time looking at a dog.
Right.
And understanding that our life is 1 billion times greater than Fido's. And we can make sure Fido has a glorious life.
Yeah.
And ours is still so magnificent that we're in control of certain things and that we can not get things right and then get it right, and not know things and then know things, and then, it's a wonderful experience that was created.
It is a wonderful experience, and we seem to have by far the most unique one on the planet. We seem very different than everything else. Very different than everything else. Even though we're a
Purposely.
part of it, yeah, purposely. That's why I always wonder,
Super efficient.
what are we here for? What is the purpose? Is it just to enjoy and be grateful, which is great? Like, one of the things that terrifies people, it's a very interesting concept.
What are we here for? What's the meaning of life? If all of this is true, listen, if all of this is true, if God created the universe, if God created you, what is all this about?
Hey, Lordside family, if you're finding value, joy, and inspiration in this content, please know that every click, every like, and every comment has a purpose. By hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comment section, you're not just supporting this channel, you're actually advancing the work that the Lord is doing. Your engagement can ripple outwards and touch the lives of so many people. So let's join hands together in this journey. And if you believe in the Lordside mission and the blessing it brings, help this message grow by liking, subscribing, and commenting and sharing below. Thank you for being a part of that Lordside family. And remember, from the devil's side to the Lord's side.
What's the whole point of life? And it's interesting to me that Katt Williams brings up the fact that he uses an illustration of Call of Duty video game, and he uses the illustration of an amusement park, and you're supposed to enjoy it, and he's grateful for this experience called life. But look, is that really it? Just to experience life and to enjoy life? Is that really it? Enjoying life. Think about the question. Think about the question that, or the statement that's being posed. What's the meaning of all this? Is it really just to experience this life that we're living in right now? The weather, the days, the work, the money, the fame, our relationships. Is that the meaning of life? Is that the whole reason why God created us, to experience life? Is that the whole reason? I think there's an undertone here. I think Joe Rogan, in light of everything he has achieved, whether it's in sports, whether it's in finances, whether it's in his career and his podcast and his name, I think he's still empty. I think Joe Rogan is still empty. He still has a void in his heart. And he's asking the question, what's the whole meaning behind of this? Because understand, you can have all the money in the world and all the fame in the world. It's still not going to be enough. I'm sorry. It's not going to be enough. This life is not going to be enough. And look, I understand. I get why Katt Williams said what he said. The meaning of life is pretty much to experience life. But understand, it's not going to fulfill you. Let me show you a quick Bible verse. In John chapter 1, verse 1, speaking of Jesus, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God." And if you drop down to verse 14, it says, "And he became flesh and dwelt among us, speaking of Jesus. But then in verse 3, it says, all things were made through him, all things were made through Jesus, and without him, nothing was made that was made. And these are the two verses I want you guys to look at. Here in verses 4 and 5, it says, in him, in Jesus, was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Do you guys see that? It says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Let's break that down. Jesus is the source of life. And look, that verse doesn't simply mean that Jesus possessed life, but understand, Jesus is and was the source of life. In John chapter 11, verse 25, it says, he is the resurrection and the life. In John chapter 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way and the truth and the life. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 4, Jesus says, Paul says, he is our life. Understand, Jesus doesn't just possess life. He is the source, the very source of life. And for Katt Williams to say the whole meaning of life is to just experience life, what is life? Understand, for us Christians, Jesus is our life, Colossians 3:4. And understand, there in John chapter 1, verses 4 and 5, it speaks of both physical and spiritual life. When we were born, we were given physical life. But look, when we were born again, we also received spiritual life. Both come from Jesus Christ. Both physical life and spiritual life comes from Jesus Christ. And in verse 4 of John chapter 1, if you remember, it says, this life is the light of men. This life, Jesus, our sustenance, is the light of men. He is the one that provides guidance, and he provides direction necessary for man to function. Because listen, it's one thing to just simply exist, and it's another thing to actually know how to live. Did you hear what I said? It's one thing to just simply exist, and it's another thing to actually know how to live. To know true purpose in life and to know the way to heaven. I believe God has a very specific divine purpose and calling for Joe Rogan and Katt Williams. And in that purpose, in that way of living for God, that's what's going to truly fulfill them in this life. Because at the end of the day, Jesus is our life. So just because you have blood pumping through your heart, just because you have breath in your lungs and your synapses in your brains are pumping, does not mean you are alive. You are simply existing in this vast universe. You're just existing. You're not truly living unto God. And that, my friends, is what brings you purpose, true purpose. That's the whole meaning. It's amazing to know, for me, at a young age, I know what my calling is. I know what I'm here in this life for. And all glory to the Lord Jesus. Can I get an amen in the form of a like? Like the video, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell. I love you guys. And remember, from the devil's side to the Lord's side.